Well, I think one of the ones we're seeing, quite a bit now in the news media is salaries. That some of the salaries, at the professional level, certainly the soccer world just had a huge win. We just recently had Mike Wan talk at our Turn to Play women's luncheon, well, actually dinner this year. And we invited him because of what he did for the LPGA, making sure that they had equal opportunity, corporate sponsorships and salaries. So I think that is maybe one of the things, especially at the professional level. The other thing that, concerns me is we got to keep women in coaching. That Title IX was supposed to open the doors to have more women in coaching. In reality, that's not happening. And not only in coaching, but also in administration. So we got work to do to still help women have more opportunities, and particularly women of color too, to get those opportunities.
For athletic directors, for presidents, for fans, for the community to really get around women's sports from an outside perspective, just having the support from the community would be a huge way to advance Title IX and just to really show how far that Title IX has come.
It's going to be very interesting to see the impact of name, image, and likeness on Title IX and how we navigate that. I believe that there are opportunities, and it's been shown that some of the greatest earners for name, image, and likeness are some female student athletes. So there are opportunities there, but just don't want that to be an area that creates further distance between where men and women stand in athletics.
It's interesting, the SWAs were talking about this last night, and there are so many, I feel like now the women, especially in college, I don't know that they feel like there's been a lot of slight in equity practices, because I think they've grown up in a generation that has had, again, a lot of opportunity. Now Title IX means something different to them, unfortunately. That's not the most positive thing. So, as always, I think some education, awareness, exposure of what Title IX is all about, just so we don't lose track of continuing to gain ground.
We still need to educate. And there's a lot of people that don't know about Title IX. There's so many advances we've made over the 50 years, but there's still so much more that we can do from an education standpoint and an awareness standpoint.
I think that, the opportunities are now there. Now what we've got to do is grow in the opportunities. We've got to enhance the opportunities that are there, whether it be female leadership positions. We know that only roughly, I think about 15% of Division I athletic directors are female. We've got to continue to grow in leadership roles, not necessarily that you have to be an athletic director, but I think the leadership roles, regardless of gender, a leader is a leader. And I think we need to kind of grow in leadership opportunities. We need to continue to grow monetarily with the opportunities that we have, from championships to whether it be, with the scholarships are there now. So we just got to grow what we've got and continue to progress it and not be satisfied. We've got to continue to move up.
Well, I would say definitely funding. I still see, from my standpoint of being a financial person, that funding is hard to come by at most universities right now, especially some in our division, where we're surviving on student fees and lesser amounts of money, it seems. I think fundraising is going to be a key in the future to help that gender equity situation. Now, I still see as an issue that the men's programs seem to raise more money. People are more apt to give towards men's basketball, or we don't have football, but I know football is the same way. We see the same thing at Radford with baseball. We have like major donations going to those, and yet not to the women's sports. So that's something we've been trying to push, is a women's leadership program to do fundraising specifically for women and women's activities and women's scholarships to try to improve the program. So we're taking baby steps towards that, but I definitely see, because of the financial situation, fundraising is going to become more and more important, and just emphasizing the importance to try to get things more equal for the genders in terms of anything involving sports.
From my perspective, the actions that need to happen for Title IX are a little bit more on the coaching and administrative front. I think we need to get more women's coaches retained and hired in head coaching roles so that some of the student athletes that have gotten an opportunity to play can see a place for themselves in their career as a head coach of a team or administrator, and more opportunities for women to get to be athletic director at larger schools, football schools, things like that, I think are more important for Title IX moving forward.
I think the education aspect of it, I know like a lot on our campus, and even for myself sometimes, you hear Title IX and you think more of like the sexual assault or those types of cases and not so much the athletic side of it. And there's still so much growing you can do across the board in athletics to get women into these positions and give them the ability to have a voice at the table and make the changes that we need.
I think there's always a chance to make things better for the people behind us. I think there, a lot of great strides that are that have been happening over the last 50 years for sure, but also there's so much more that can be done. I don't think it's ever gonna stop. There's no ceiling on what can be done.
I just think good leadership, and we see that here at our conference. We see it with all the women that are being interviewed in this process, as well as others within, and then we're seeing more women athletic directors across the country. Again, and they're going to see the balance as well. It's not about a male-female, it's about what is right, doing what's right, doing what's fair. And I just think the continuation moving forward, we just keep pushing along those lines.
I go back to, I think, education, because unless we educate our current students and student athletes, they won't understand where we once were and how things have progressed. So, and if we continue to educate, maybe it will prevent any of the discrimination possibilities that are out there.